Welcome to the AA Sports Podcast, minor league feel with major league discussion. Here are your hosts, Alan and Alan.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the AA Sports Podcast. We are your hosts, Alan and Alan. This is episode 20. And then also the first episode where we're going to be sweating most of the episode.
Yeah, it's funny because when we first started, it was in January and we were freezing our butts off in the garage. Now we're seeing the opposite. It's about, 90 degrees outside and it's probably hotter than that in here and it's muggy.
Yeah.
Virginia weather gets very muggy if you don't know.
Yeah, and it doesn't help with uninsulated, no circulation.
We got the lights right on our faces.
So we're going to get through this. First thing first.
For first thing first, let's talk about something that's not sports related. It's a big issue that's going on in the world right now, and it touches base around racism.
Yeah, it's shocking that it is still around and stuff. The biggest thing you see little stuff every day, people judge, and then the whole police, and the whole thing with me. The biggest thing with me is especially when people find out where I grew up and from and went to high school. It's a shocker because I don't act like they think I was raised and lived there.
Right. They think that since we went to a predominantly black school that we're ghetto or something like that. But that's not the case. I mean,
yeah, they're like, you live in Norfolk? Like, yes, I did. I went to Lake Taylor. Like, I thought you were from Virginia Beach. Wow.
And the Black Lives Matter movement is a pretty big one.
Yes.
A lot of people don't understand. And I think the reason they don't understand is because when they hear Black Lives Matter, their initial thought was, oh, well, my life matters too. So you're just saying that only Black Lives Matter? I saw this perfect post on Facebook the other day, and I want to read it to everyone. It's a girl holding up a sign. We'll show it in the YouTube video. And she says, we said Black Lives Matter. Never said only Black Lives Matter. We know all lives matter. We just need your help with Black Lives Matter, for Black lives are in danger. So they're trying to say is that, yes, as a white person, you don't have to worry about the cops killing you or doing something crazy. You never had to worry about that. But as a black person, they're trying to say that, yes, our lives matter as well.
Yeah, and then stuff like I've been seeing posts of like, doctors have one malpractice suit, they possibly lose their license. But yet, a bunch of these police officers have multiple dings against their record, and nothing has happened.
Right.
You actually got to train more hour-wise to work in a barbershop than to be a police officer. It comes down to training. It's, EMTs got to do all these record hours before they're technically an EMT. Like, why in this kind of... I know probably police jobs are shorted, so that's probably why they're shorter hours or force-fed through the academy, but it's just... There's got to be more training, thinking about it, and then it's all depends on where you're raised and who raised you.
Right, and I also think that you're right with the training. They absolutely need more training. The other day, people were protesting. This 75-year-old man walked up to the police officers, and they shoved him down to the ground. He was bleeding from his ears. He's got serious injuries. Mm-hmm. And the two cops that were involved in the video, they were suspended without pay. But after that happened, 53 or 50 plus other police officers resigned from that squad because of because they suspended those two officers. They didn't care about the guy at all. And I'm just saying they need to think about these things differently.
Yeah, like elderly, it's just the
the way they treat people in general. People getting shot with the rubber bullets. A guy's he lost his eye basically because of this. I mean, they just need to be humans first, and they got to hold themselves at a higher standard. If they're trying to regulate and be police officers, they can't just act any way they want to. They got to hold themselves accountable.
Definitely, and big thing with like people like, what about the rioters? Rioters might not be the protesters. It's people who are finding excuses to be rioting, to looting stores and stuff, because they have anger for who knows what,
or they just want to be looters and they find the opportunity to take advantage.
Yeah, like you're like, oh, I want to go have some fun tonight. I'm gonna break up the store because the protest's going on there. Stuff like that is just sad in the world, and there's always gonna be hate in the world. But if we can teach our young and other young children and set by example, there won't be hate. Like, that's how I was raised, and I don't see no hate.
And we know this issue is not going to be solved today.
No.
But it takes time, but you can't do it alone.
Yeah,
the world needs to change
like
together.
with DC today, renaming the street and painting the street Black Lives Matter. Like certain stuff, it's gonna grow. Like Commissioner Goodell, they put a video. I haven't watched it yet. Jordan's donated $100 million over the next 10 years. Like companies are now seeing like even Call of Duty did something. You go log in today. Like a bunch of different games are. It's more awakening now. Like I think social media definitely has influenced more because in the past it's been just news articles, which have not always told the truth, but apps like TikToks spread the news much faster. Twitter, it's out there a lot faster. It can be reported. Mm-hmm. So we're now seeing it live
on
faster.
a bigger scale.
So it's now they're pulling back other cases of other situations that this is gonna not go away anytime soon. We just hope it gets better sooner. So I support it. I hope everything gets better, but I think it's time to let's get some brighter notes. Let's talk some baseball.
All right, let's talk some baseball. So the first thing on our list is Chris Archer. He is now injured. So what do we got about this one? What happened to Chris?
So pretty much he's having the same surgery of most recent. We might know if it's Matt Harvey.
Okay.
Taking the rib out.
Yeah.
That very weird surgery some players have benefited from it. Some players have not. Of course, Harvey's the most recent one. He has not been the same since the surgery.
I don't think Matt Harvey's been the same since 2015 when we were in the World Series. But, there's a good note from Matt Harvey. He might be going to the KBO. I don't know. Only time will tell. It's just a big rumor right now. But Chris Archer's a different animal. I expect him to rebound pretty good from this. I don't know, though.
He's been down since the trade. So this is the biggest thing with this going on. It's out of the blue.
Yep.
So has he been dealing with something this whole time, maybe in Pittsburgh?
Maybe.
Because his numbers have drastically went down that first year and then has slowly went down every year he's been in Pittsburgh. A lot of people are like, oh, it's the team. Possibly because it's a whole new team up there now, new coach, GM, and everything. And
I was one of those people that thought it might be the team as well.
Yeah, because they gave up a lot. You thought he was going to be this guy, and then he just never was that guy since being traded. But the biggest thing now is the possibility of he's probably pitched his last game as a Pirate. So if he misses this year, he still has one more year going into next year, but the Pirates have a buyout.
Okay.
He's owed $11 million next year, but they can buy out for just $250,000.
Oh, yeah. They're going to take advantage of that. I would.
Exactly. Surgery, the numbers beforehand, new GMs are like, I'm going to save money, spend some money elsewhere.
It absolutely makes sense. And I would be that guy, too. I'm sorry, Chris. I love you, but I would be the guy who would cut you as well.
Yeah. And then the biggest, more thorn for Pirates fans is the players they traded to Tampa Bay, Austin Meadows, Tyler Glasnow have now both been all-stars for Tampa Bay from this trade, which I couldn't believe. Okay, you let Andrew McCutchen go because you had Austin Meadows, your future.
Okay.
And then a year later, because he had an ant year in the Major League finally, you ship him off for Chris Archer because you thought up top pitting rotation. And then Glasnow was injured, so he missed that year, so you never know what his potential was yet. You didn't give him time. This GM went for it then and then ultimately failed in that trade.
That's crazy.
So, new GM ownership there. So most likely it probably will be Chris Archer's. It makes sense. Rebuilding because it's a bunch of young players. Why not save $10 million?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially if you're in rebuild mode. I mean, it's not set in stone. We don't know what's going to happen. But if I had to bet on it, I'd say he's probably going to be let go. And like you said, it was his last time pitching as a Pirate already.
Yeah, I'm almost certain. So next we got a former all-star star player in the news for not so great reasons. Mr. Carl Crawford has been arrested.
All right. I remember Carl Crawford as a Ray, I believe, right?
Rays, he was high, then he went to Red Sox as that big deal.
Yeah.
Then they shipped him off to L.A. with Manny, like when they dumped a bunch of money in L.A.
Okay.
He was part of that deal, and then he...
Right.
Yeah.
But he was pretty solid there for a while. So what happened with Carl Crawford? Why was he arrested?
So he was arrested in Texas on charges of assaulting a family member and beating, breathing, a felony according to TMZ. The domestic charge violence from a May incident where he allegedly choked his ex-girlfriend at gunpoint. The court document said Crawford allegedly held the gun in one hand and used the other hand to grab her by the head and neck while asking her how long has she been dating another male. This woman had a 2.5-year relationship with Carl.
Ugh. Man. That's not a good look. I mean, I get it. I guess his frustrations carried over. Maybe he's on the roids. I'm not going to say that, but I don't know.
Yeah, like a gunpoint and
you got to be
choking.
You got to be very angry for that. I mean, it reminds me
especially
of
a girl for only 2 years. Like I understand, like wife of like 10, 15, 20, like be really angry. But 2 years, are you really jeopardizing? Who knows how many years in jail you're looking at for a 2-year relationship?
Yeah, man. These incidences like this are not good. It doesn't end well for them. Think about when the football player was it Kareem Hunt or it was somebody like that who beat the girls on the video in the hotel, and he got suspended for the whole year.
Yes,
and then also Rice or
Rice is the big example. He's never played since then.
Yeah, but he's turned it around. I think he's speaking on behalf of his incident. He's learned from it. He's talking to people. But, you guys just got to think about this. I mean, you can't just lose your head and do that kind of stuff. It's never okay to pull a gun on somebody, period.
Yeah.
Come on.
Especially putting hands on a woman. Like, it's... So...
All right. Well, I mean, you got anything to say about that? I mean...
No, it's...
We got to get more information on this to see what to talk about with Carl.
With, the whole pandemic, who knows when, the court dates be held, be pushed back till fall, winter, next spring, who knows. With felony, you're talking about a couple years. And
I don't think he'll get that. I think, big names like that seem to get off pretty easily, slap on a wrist kind of deal. He'll probably get probation. We'll see what happens.
Texas.
Yeah, it's true. So let's move on. Seems like the MLBPA has proposed a 114-game season to the owners.
So, we talked about how it's been back and forth. First it was...
We've heard a lot of numbers.
82 games, less money. And then they did... first with the 50-50 split, then that ridiculous shit offer.
The sliding scale pay.
So players said that was it. They're going to make their own. They proposed it on Sunday.
It got rejected almost immediately.
I think it was Tuesday. We knew it was coming because they went 50-50, the normal, how they proposed rate, a lot more games, more playoffs for the next 2 years.
Right. And then we heard there was going to be like a 50 to 60 game possibility or something in that range. But then the owners came back and they were like, oh, yeah, okay, we're going to find this loophole in this agreement we made earlier in the year, and they're going to pay. They said they're going to pay the players what they agreed on. However, they want to get it down to a 48-game season. Now, in my opinion, you can't play a season of 48 games, not in the major leagues. And if we do have a 48-game season, I would not be surprised if the Orioles took the title this year. I'm serious. 48 games, you can't even warm up in 48 games.
Man, like this week is definitely by. I'll say end of next week. I don't know. It's got to be this week. It's Friday. It's coming on. Like,
now that they only want to play 48 games.
If they didn't want to start by July 1st, it would have been this week, Monday, Tuesday next week, possible.
Right, but they have time to relax if they're going to cut what we thought was going to be 80 games in half, almost essentially. I think the owners are just doing this again to show their hand. Like they're just like, look, we're not going to let you push us around. We sign the checks. We're going to do this because it's a slap in the face. They're just joking right now. They're playing games.
It's sad if something doesn't come for, like, if all the other major sports, hockey, they got their deal done.
Basketball got a deal done.
Basketball just finalized their deal today with the MLBPA.
They're bringing back 22 teams?
Yep.
Yeah.
9 teams from the East, I think 13 from the West.
Yeah, more people want to watch the West.
So they're going to battle out for the 8 seeds, the lower seeds. But
great, that's great.
They're going to get 8 regular season games. And it's weird. If you look at NBA season, they're starting at the end of July. They're going to have a couple weeks to training camp in July, starting end of July. So the latest they're going to go to is through October, I think 13th, if I remember. It's game 7 of the finals.
Okay.
2 days later, it's going to be their draft. During the finals, they're going to have their draft lottery. Draft is 2 days after the season ends. They have 2 to 3 weeks, and then training camp starts for next season. Game starts December 1st.
And that's fine. They've had a big enough break. They can handle it.
I was like, wow, that sucks for people who are in finals.
It does, but they can handle it. And those guys in the finals, that's what they live for. They're not stressed about that.
Wow. But the cool thing, they're all going to be one place. They're going to be at Disney World.
Oh, that's great.
They're going to be stuck at a, most likely, their newly renovated resort.
Okay.
They can't go to the parks and ride the rides.
That sucks.
I bet.
Well, hold on. What about when they win the championship?
I think it's different. I think if you're knocked out of the playoffs, you can probably go. But while you're still in,
okay,
because of
they don't want
testing,
easier to spread it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I'm like, okay, it makes sense. NHL, they're doing 2 host cities. Expand the playoffs. They're a reseed after every round. Like they figured it out. Football's going full steam ahead. Coaches are now back in facilities, and then you have baseball.
Right, who just wants to play games right now and not start the season.
Who's bitching about peanuts on the dollar.
Right. And so since, like you said, okay, since the NHL and basketball are both coming back, MLB's left behind in the dust. Is this an opportunity for the MLB to fall off? Are you going to lose fans? Are fans going to be like, I'm finally fed up and this is the last straw. I'm going to go watch something else?
So the biggest thing over the years we've talked about multiple is blackouts.
Mm-hmm.
That's been hurting fan bases. BAM, as they call it, the video production where they can monetize any video on YouTube because us as YouTubers can't just make a video and we get money off of it. MLB does it. But if you have football, NBA, all stuff has grown so much, they can do that because MLB got a short window to make money then, but they're not thinking long term. Younger audience, kids are more into football and basketball.
And
I don't know
because
they have the content available.
Right, they have the content. And
if you go on YouTube and type in, a player that you like to watch, all these videos with thousands and thousands of views because they can look it up real quick.
Yep.
You type in baseball, you're not finding that.
And that's because the MLB has
because people are not going to make content.
A monopoly on it. They don't want anybody putting out content but them. They want to profit off of every little bit they can, which is not helping them out, by the way.
It got the money short term.
It might have helped them out before the internet was a big explosive thing, but now...
And it's not going to help expand.
Right.
That's why all these, NBA has gone to, before all this, a $16 billion a year. They were one of the low teams. Now they're up there at high arcs. Baseball's now at $10 billion as of last year.
And like you said, it's because people have the freedom to create content and they could put it out there for other people to see. So by you not allowing people to put out content, you're not making it good for people to reach out and find the sport. It's not attractive.
No, and then we all knew because of the strike in '94 how baseball had to come back a couple years. Mm-hmm. It took ultimately the home run race to get people back interested in baseball.
Absolutely.
So
that was an exciting time.
Happens. How many years with this BAM and slow steadiness it's going to take for MLB to bounce back if they ever will?
Right. They need to, if they want to reach out to today's kids and get new audience members, they need to get with the times. Everything's online. Everything's through social media. They need to let creators create content to help them out in the long run. Not have some old guys in there trying to say, hey, this is what I think is going to be good. That's not working.
Yeah, like the average fan for baseball is a
50-year-old guy, yeah.
A white guy. Like, why don't you have these Latino players that have great personalities, let them do content?
Yeah.
Come on, live mics. People would be interested. If
I
you do
would
a
be
show every day, Saturday morning, kids watch TV, it's something about baseball behind the scenes, that'd be blast. Or I love the ideal video I sent you where they said a subscription service where you can watch your favorite player do batting practice before the game.
That would be cool. Yeah, and then have him throw you some tips and stuff while you do that. I know that the MLB Network, they do a little bit of this here and there like that. But yeah, if you can get your own person or subscribe to somebody like Mike Trout and say, hey, let me watch this dude hit BP, that'd be crazy. I agree, man. They got to do something.
They have to. They got to, if they let this season goes down and then, collective bargaining agreement comes up in a year, they're going to fight. It's, man, I don't know. Baseball could be doomed if they don't have a season.
It very well could be because, like you said, you got to reach out to the younger crowd. The younger crowd's bored of baseball. They need to do something. They need to make it fun again. Make it fun again.
Got to make it fun again.
Exactly.
And the biggest thing is these unwritten rules. The older people let the kids play, and then if you have more interest, KBO has almost taken over. A lot of young people love the bat flips, the energy. Unfortunately, we are not seeing the fans there, but if you saw the highlights from previous seasons, how much they're interactive, they have a cheermeister, they have fun at games.
Yeah.
You go to a baseball game here, it's kind of just sitting there, people playing on their phones. That's why they had to put damn nets up everywhere because people aren't paying attention to the game.
Because they're not paying attention to the game. Yeah.
If you have something more interactive that people love, they'd be more interested, spend more money, and then big thing is baseball is getting expensive to go to.
It sure is, man. It really is. I know that we used to go to a Nationals game almost every year, and they were at RFK originally. And when we went, the tickets weren't bad at all. We got pretty decent seats for
When
probably
they
about
built
50, 60 bucks.
Park, you can get tickets for $10.
Yeah.
Now the cheapest seats, if I remember correctly, are like with the fees and stuff, is like almost $30.
And let me tell you guys something. These $30 tickets, we sat there. Those are not good seats, man. There was a pop-up to like infield, and I thought it was gone because those seats are you're in the nosebleed for real.
Like you can definitely tell when teams start doing better, they're going to try to jack up, get that more
Yeah,
money. It's I understand it, but it's kind of sad too. Like you're going to try to milk it because this might be only a couple of years we're in gather. We're back down to rebuilding mode. I don't know.
Yeah.
But hey, baseball's got to figure something out real soon, or they're going to lose not only this year for the next 2 to 3 years. And I don't think Mike Trout and some of these players are going to be able to save it if there's no season. So, yeah. Sad. All right. Next, I don't know if y'all turned in to ESPN. I think it was last Friday. They had the Holladay Doc, which would have been the 10-year anniversary of his perfect game.
Yeah.
And so they released the doc on his life, and wow.
Yeah, man.
Shows a whole nother life to Roy.
Yeah, Roy was a pretty great player when he played. If you guys do not know, Roy Halladay died in a plane accident, a plane he was flying.
Yeah. So, his wife, said everyone saw him as a very strong, dependent person, but he was terrified. He didn't feel like he had the luxury of making mistakes. He was tormented. He truly was. He was a tormented man. No one's perfect. Because, of course, it came out and it shows in the document that he did have addiction to painkillers because this is when he, a year after signing, had his best year of his career, his first year in Philly, making $20 million next season, hurt back. I got to play. Like, that's all he's ever known. And
that's crazy because I guarantee you he's not the only player that goes through this. There's a lot of players in his situation.
He said a Phillies player told him, like, go to this doctor and pay cash. He'll give you a prescription.
That's crazy.
And then they had some players, like, he was out of it. And they showed a clip of one of his interviews, like, post-game, and how he was kind of slurring the words. I'm like, how did no one notice this? Like, of course, I'm not a Phillies fan, so I'm not watching these unless... But just watching this, I'm like, he was just so slow. Like, I don't know, they thought maybe that's how he acted. But, man, he was out of it. You can definitely tell. And they were like, they tried to say something to him. He kind of brushed it off. Then he went to rehab, and then he got freaked out because someone brought a camera in. They thought he was going to realize it was him, so he left without getting help. Then he retired a couple weeks later, but it's like, wow.
Yeah, it makes you think. I mean, you said he ended up with a pain pill addiction. Maybe that had something to do with how he acted after he retired. He's like, he looked recklessly trying to do things crazy.
The biggest thing, the plane, he was flying low recently with the brand new plane he got. But they said his highlight was his life was being a coach for his son's team. They went 30-0, won the state championship, and his son made a crack like, oh, I guess I'm the only one in this family to have a championship. And his dad's like, I'm a coach. I get a ring too, buddy.
Exactly. But other than that, he still had the demons that he had to battle that he couldn't overcome. So that just makes me think. Like,
he went to a second rehab.
Right.
ADHD. They gave him, and then they had depression. Like, he was taking like 4 or 5 different pills. And apparently he was had morphine in him and the toxicology report after the crash because apparently he was inverted and went in the water. And it was shallow, but because he was stuck, he drowned. Mm-hmm. And then the saddest thing is rewatching the Hall of Fame speech that his wife had to give. Because, of course, he passed away before he got into the Hall of Fame a couple years ago. It's just like, God, it's like he should have been there. He wanted to be there. Like, that's what he's always been. Perfect game, second no-hitter in postseason. Like, you're one of the best pitchers ever. And it's fortunately he got caught up.
It's crazy. I mean, it's something to think about. Tomorrow's never guaranteed, so you never know.
So, yeah. So, think about, it's crazy out there. All right, next topic. We're going to break down, since we are now less a week away from this very shortened MLB draft. And no shocker here, we already got prospects backing out of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, what is it, 5 rounds?
Yep.
When you're used to, 4 times that or more, how many rounds do they normally go? They still go about, 40?
It's like 40, like 35, 40. But still, you're talking about 1,600 players to pair 160.
Exactly, and then also not to mention that even if you are drafted near the end, there's a cap at which you can get for a signing bonus, right? Or something along those lines.
There's deferred money.
Okay.
So we're gonna go through our top 30 picks. So
I mean, we don't know if these are going to be the picks, but this is what the prospects say the best
a lot
30
of people-
available right now.
Yeah, top 30. There's only 29 picks in the first round because Astros lost their draft position. So of course we'll go down the draft report real quick. Tigers have the first pick, then we have Baltimore Orioles at second, Miami Marlins at third, Kansas City Royals have fourth, Blue Jays at fifth, Seattle sixth, Pirates are seventh, San Diego is eighth, Rockies are ninth, Angels are 10th, White Sox is 11th, Reds are 12th, Giants are 13th, Texas is 14th, Philly is 15th, Cubs are 16th, Red Sox is 17th, Arizona is 18th, Mets are at 20, Brewers at 21st. I think I messed up. Then St. Louis, Nationals, Indians, Rays, Braves, Athletics, Twins, Yankees, and Dodgers.
Yeah, and it's hard to draft in the baseball world because there's so many talented players. There hasn't been clear-cut number ones in a while. Like the last time I remember a clear-cut besides Dansby Swanson, I think, was back when it was Bryce Harper and Steven Strasburg back-to-back
years, yeah.
Other than those two guys, Bryce Harper and Strasburg, there wasn't much hype that I remember.
There's like a top three where you're like, what does they need more now, which is kind of this year where there's three top-tier prospects is who does Detroit want? Then it's like, okay, what's left of the two? Who's Baltimore's going to take? And then, of course, third pick is like, okay, they'll take the last one, most likely.
I think I saw somewhere, maybe it was on Instagram, ESPN or MLB, one of those guys. And anyways, they were saying they showed the stat line of like the last, 10 number one picks overall. And half the guys I don't even recognize. I'm thinking like since 2011 or 10 or whatever. I'm like, I know one guy. That guy looks kind of familiar, but who are the other guys? Are they still in the minors? So, like I said, if you were a number one pick in NBA or something, you know the name because they're playing.
Yeah, the biggest one is like Mark Appel. He was traded, if I remember correctly, to Phillies, and I was about to try to get his autograph, but he ended up sitting down, and the next thing you know, he took a break, and now he's retired.
That's
Never
crazy.
played a big league
Yes,
game.
that's what I'm saying. So baseball is the hardest sport to get to the majors. So you know what? That brings me back to another point when the major league needs to get the younger crowd involved in the game. It is the hardest sport to make it to the big leagues. If you're a young guy and you're watching these guys play like a Zion, for example, in the NBA, you see him in Duke, you watch him on TV. Guess what? He gets drafted. Now you see him on a major or an NBA team. You see a guy that you think's pretty good in baseball. They get drafted. You don't see them for years.
At best, you've seen like a couple like Ryan Zimmerman come up within a couple months of being drafted because he went through college, so he was more primed ready, and Nationals were stuck. So through the system to go. But most time, at least a year. If you're a top prospect, if you're real good, but you're talking 2 to 3 years usually.
But that's what I'm saying. So you're going to get drafted, and we might see two or three of these guys up pretty soon that you'll recognize their name and name if they get a starting spot and not just brought up for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
But in NBA or NFL, you're going to see the top 2 rounders. They're going to be in there, and you're going to see their names. You're going to know who they are. So if they want to get the younger crowd, they got to find a way to get these players, 18-year-old players, playing in the big game.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe, I don't know, with a shortened, if they're going to shrink the minor league system, maybe to try to process them faster.
Yes, and what I'm saying is this year, if for some reason they do get baseball going again and they do have a 40-something game season and all the guys who are expecting these big paychecks aren't taking the risk and we get to see minor leaguers, maybe we do get to see some of these younger guys and see what happens from there.
Maybe.
I don't know.
So let's go through the list. When I made this list, I just took last year's stats because there's no point putting up this year's stats because some of them had like 7 games, some had So first thing first is at number 30 is Casey Martin, shortstop of Arkansas.
Okay.
In 61 games last year, he batted .287, 61 runs, 75 hits, 15 home runs, 53 RBIs. He went undrafted out of high school, but has been a reliable star for the Arizona Razorbacks since. So
Okay. So for Arkansas, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty well-known baseball team in the college world, so that's why he's getting this love. Because I'm sure there are other players out there that have better stats.
And then shortstop is
Shortstop,
like everyone
yeah.
is like people because you can be a shortstop not to work out. They're second, third, kind of like that.
They know you're their best fielder, so they know they have that potential there for sure. All right, so let's move on. The next one at number 29 is Chris Mcmahon. He's a right-handed pitcher from Miami. Now, if one thing you know about baseball is that they really love pitchers. If you can pitch, you got a shot. You got a shot.
There's a reason why that first GM for Baltimore, his first draft, he took 19 pitchers his first draft.
Yeah, because pitchers are the key. I mean, yes, you got to have hitters, but everybody can hit. You're going to find a hitter. You got to have somebody who can actually throw the ball.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this guy. So 2019, his ERA was a 3.73. He only had 3 wins and 2 losses. He appeared in 12 games. 12 games started. So what do you think about the kid?
He's solid. Strong start for his junior year. He vaulted himself in the first round discussion to know the right-hander is named the college All-American second team. He's kept the ball in the yard. Strikeouts, 67 strikeouts is not bad for only 12 appearances. So seems like he has some raw talent, maybe.
It seems like his team is like the Mets. Like he's like a DeGrom. He's throwing pretty good, but he's not getting the win column because the team's not backing him up.
Yeah, that's a real good possibility. And it is Miami, who probably is not the strongest. ACC, they've been coming up here and there. So ACC baseball is top tier. You got Louisville,
I agree.
Virginia.
It's tough.
Absolutely. And it's Florida State. So so we'll see what he can do. Next is another pitcher, Tanner Burns, right-handed pitcher from Auburn.
Now I like his stat line.
So his ERA of 2.82
with 15 games starting. So that's pretty good. And he threw a complete game. So there's that.
A shutout.
All right. That's probably why it was a complete game.
101 strikeouts.
Okay.
Only gave up 6 home runs, and his batting average against him was only 218.
Yeah, so that's pretty solid. I like those stats. Auburn, he's got some good exposure there. What do we say about this guy?
Of course, his next level prospect from Auburn, following the footsteps of Casey Miz, which I think he was 3 years ago, number 1 pick.
Okay.
So Detroit has him. Most likely, we'll see him this year if there's a season. We should see him in Detroit. He has a record for strikeouts in a game that was held by Miz until his dominating performance in 2019. So,
all right. So the next on the list is number 27, Austin Wells out of Arizona. He's a catcher. He looks like his stat line is pretty good. He had a batting average of 353, and that's playing in 56 games. He had 78 hits. 5 home runs, but you know what? As a catcher, you're not expecting them to go out there and rake. As long as they can control the game, because they're in the captain's chair and they have a pretty good average, 353. That's pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, very much so. Especially for a catcher. Arizona. And he was selected in the draft. Was it 2 years ago?
In the 12th round?
No, the 35th round.
Oh, okay.
By the Yankees, and of course, but he honors commitment to Arizona.
Ah.
So this is the same, like with the late rounds, you take a gamble if he doesn't return.
Well, think about it. If he was selected in the 35th round, I would probably go to college because most of these people who get selected straight out of high school, they're good enough and they know they're good enough. They want to bet on themselves. Or they might want to have a college experience.
Most likely, if you don't go in either the first or I think maybe second round in high school, you might as well go to college.
Yeah, and think about it. If this guy's on our top 30 list, then there was a good reason to go to college.
Yeah. 35th round, you're talking
right. So, not only so it's cool that you got drafted in the 35th round, but if you think about it, and you're like, okay, well, guess what? I'm going to get better. I'm going to get drafted higher. But if you get drafted in the 35th round, the team doesn't have that much invested in you, and if they don't invest in you, there's a less likely chance you make it out of the minors. So it's a perfect
like a bonus
strategy.
of maybe $100,000. Compared to this being the top 30, you're talking at least $1 million most likely.
Right.
Bonus.
But like I said, you don't want to go in the 35th round because you have a less likely chance of even seeing a major league dugout.
Very much so. So next on the list is another pitcher, Bobby Miller, right-handed pitcher out of Louisville. Louisville is just one of these schools that just puts out prospects every year.
Absolutely.
So his ERA is not what normally you see. Is at a 3.83.
But he's at a school that plays with higher level ball, so that's why it's okay.
He did 20 appearances, so 12 starts. So he came out of the bullpen at least 8 times. He has 2 saves, 80 inning pitched. He only allowed 38 walks, 86 strikeouts, 7 home runs, but his batting average against him was only 204.
And I know why. And this is exactly why he's a top 30 pick, because he's
Look at
throwing 100 miles an hour.
Heat.
Yeah, so this guy's a hurler. He's throwing a four-seamer at 99. His two-seamer's at 98. If a two-seamer's at 98 and it has any movement, good luck touching it.
It does. Apparently, it drops, they said.
So he's got plus stuff is what we like to call it.
He has the stuff, and Louisville finds them. And
So not only can he throw 100 miles an hour, according to these stats, this guy has a curveball and a slider in the low to mid 80s.
Yes.
Now that's filthy. If you just seen a 100 mile per hour fastball come to you, and next thing you see is an 87 mile per hour changeup, good luck touching it.
look at Noah Syndergaard a couple years ago when he had the fastball working and he had that slider and that it threw people off, and that's how he got strikeouts. So if this kid has that in his belt, we'll see him in a couple years.
Oh yeah, like I said, if his two seamer, like you said, is straight gas, if it's got movement on it, and he really does have these mid 80 changeup pitches in his repertoire, that's what I like to see. Because most of the guys we see that throw 100 miles an hour, that's what they got. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's great. Keep an eye on this guy, Bobby Miller.
Yep. So next we have another right-handed pitcher,
At a Duke.
Bryce Jarvis at a Duke.
All right.
So 381 average, 11 starts out of 19 appearances, a save. Let's see. He had a 94 strikeouts, only 7 home runs given up, and batting average against him was 239.
All right, now there's a stat that I like to point out on this one. So this guy plays for Duke, and he was already previously selected in the first round in a draft. Is that what that says?
Let's see. No, he's going to be most likely the first out of the first round out of Duke besides Marcus Stroman.
Well, what's crazy is Duke's been producing a lot of baseball players recently and football players. Duke's been on the map. I mean, we all know that Duke has good basketball players, but recently in the past couple of years, they've been producing some really good players in other sports.
And then in February, the right-handed anchored the first perfect game in school's history, striking out 15 Cornell hitters, need only 94 pitches to do the feat in the 8-0 win for the Blue Devils.
Wow, that in itself is impressive, especially in college ball. I mean, that's crazy.
It was only the 31st game perfected game ever in college.
Yeah, and to do it in under 100 pitches, what a feat.
So they really he looks like Stroman. He's from the school from Stroman. So
like I said, depending on what these teams need, when do the Yankees have a draft pick? They need a pitcher.
Late. They're one of the last picks.
So that's why. Okay, so if they were higher up, some of these pitchers might be higher up on the board too. All right, so the next guy we got is another catcher out of Ohio State, Dylan Dinkler. Great baseball name.
Right? Oh, he had some dingers. Not really. He has 3 home runs from that year.
Okay, well, that's fine. I mean, his batting average is 291. That's pretty decent. Like you said, doesn't have many home runs, but he, what did we talk about this guy? Let's see.
A big group of Buckeyes, only 2, Ohio State alum has been selected in the first round. Most recent and most notable is Nick Swisher at 16th overall and back in 2002.
Well, that's most notable. Most recent looks like a pitcher from Minnesota or from 2010.
Yeah, so.
To Minnesota. Okay. Well, you know what? Hey.
It's a catcher.
Ohio State, we know them for football, but we'll see what the kid got.
Yeah. So next we have another right-handed pitcher. This one out of Georgia, Cole Wilcox. So we got 3 wins, 4 ERA, 19 appearances, 6 starts, 1 complete game, just under 60 innings pitched, 64 strikeouts. But his batting average against him was only a 216.
Well, you know what? That's fine. I mean, look, his stat line is okay. He went to Georgia. It's an okay school. Fine. But what sticks out to me is that this guy is an athlete. He was a 3-sport star in high school. Now, those guys that played multiple sports in high school that could have gone and played any sport in college. Oh, yeah. They are athletic, and I like those guys.
Yeah.
Because they're really good. They're talented. It's probably somebody who's going to come in. He's got the talent. He's probably going to make it, especially if you pick baseball. Because it's the hardest one to get into.
So his fastball ranges from 92 to 97 miles an hour, but he can reach 100 miles an hour with some sink and an arm side run. Both are the mid-80s secondary pitches, signs to become plus offerings with his families. Changeups a trick more reliable in his power slider. Wilcox has said he has planned to rely even more on his slider as the sophomore season went on, only to have it end in 4 starts.
Man, that's so crazy. I wish we would have got to see a full year out of these guys because
And that was like some of the players I can't remember, but they were having like 4 starts, 3-0 with a sub-1 ERA, and then their season gets cut.
that's crazy because when you're feeling it and you get cut, oh man,
It's even harder trying to find stat on some of these high school players.
that'd have been like if Pete Alonso last year was in his groove, going on to 50+ home runs, and then the season ended, and he's like, "Oh, that's it." You cannot cut them off when they're hot. That's a no-no. All right. Well, guess what? We have another right-handed pitcher, Kade Kabila, out of Oklahoma.
Yes, so he had a 3.2 ERA, 12 appearances, 12 starts. He had 59 strikeouts, only 4 home runs allowed. Batting average was .238.
All right, it's pretty positive stuff right there.
And he was taken in draft before, 29th round to the Braves back in 2017. But he went to Oklahoma and played, and, well, he took a game to a whole nother level last year.
Okay.
He started 12 Friday night games, which is usually the pitcher for that team.
Oh, yeah.
Those games.
That's probably when they get the most crowd.
But when he didn't on the mound, he was a designated hitter for 19 games.
Okay.
So he went 5-3 in his games, his ERA. But then while hitting, he posted a .319 hitting at 72 at-bats.
So you're saying we have a little showtime on our hands, a little Show-Otani kind of guy. He can hit and pitch.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, we know what that means. They're not going to let him hit. He's going to get drafted as a pitcher.
Yeah, and then he's going to hit until they tell him to stop, probably, or who knows.
It depends on if he goes to NL or AL, or if we have a permanent DH after this.
Exactly. His fastball sits about 92, 96 miles an hour, toss out about 98, and with a running action, he has hitters looking bad because his low 80s curveball that has both power and depth has developed in the 80s slider as well and a cutter.
Right. So what I'm saying, yes, if you have a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and then you come at him with an 80-mile-an-hour or something else, doesn't matter what the pitch is, you're going to make people look funny.
Yes.
They're going to drop to a knee. They're not going to know what to do. They're just going to look at it. You're going to be window shopping. No thanks, just looking.
Yeah.
It happens. But what I'm seeing a trend here. So far, all the pitchers seem to be able to throw about 100 miles an hour, high 90s, mid to high 90s, and all have some slow curve stuff.
Yeah.
So is this going to be what we're going to be seeing in the future? We're going to see everybody who can throw 100 and then have the off speed.
A good possibility.
It could be. I mean, it seems to be trending.
It is, because you see what, like we said, the Grom and some of these pitchers are doing. Maybe these guys are watching, like, look, they're fooling them with these way quick at all C-spits. Especially, I remember when Noah had that 90s slider. People were like, what?
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of power pitching, but it seems like we're going to see power pitching with finesse.
Yes.
So we're going to see these guys, not only can they hurl the ball like a Randy Johnson, but they can slow it down like Bartolo Colon today.
I can gas you, and I can also fool you.
That's what I like. Now, and that's what pitching's about. Pitching is just about fooling the hitter.
Back in the day, it was painting the corners.
Yeah.
Now then it became the gas phase. Now it's the what you getting.
You still got to locate, because I've seen a guy who could throw 100+ miles an hour. We've seen him in the minor leagues, and they're not consistently. They're not consistent. They can't find the plate. So it doesn't matter how hard you throw. But if you got control and you could throw into off speed, now we're talking.
Yeah. All right. So at 21, yet another pitcher.
Surprise, surprise.
Now, this last name, I think I forgot to copy it.
Is that Carmen Miodzinski? I just ruined that. But he's a Gamecock. He's out of South Carolina.
Yeah, I had something where they like how they pronunciate it, and I thought I put it in here, but I guess I didn't. But yeah, so let's go through. So unfortunately, he had a bad freshman year, and the sophomore year got cut short. So his biggest, what he climbed the ranking, was his Cape Cod League. That's why I put the stats line in from his Cape Cod League.
Okay.
So, and he was 2-0 in the Cape Cod League with a 2.15 ERA with 6 games and 6 starts. He gave it only 15 hits, 1 home run, and 4 walks during the Cape Cod League.
Okay, pretty good.
So apparently it skyrocketed him. Because he has a fastball that also features some sink and run, about 92 to 96 miles an hour. That's a compressive run in the Cape Cod. Then he rang up as high as 99 during the fall practice. Right, he also flashed plus curveball in high school. He also has since scrapped that for a low 80s slider with power and depth that sometimes morphs into a cutter. He also shown feeling the sinking changeup and could be a 3+ pitcher once he's fully developed.
Great. Pretty good stuff. Sounds solid. But I want to see a left-handed pitcher who's in this range. Because you know what? Left-handed pitching is very rare. If you have a lefty and show me a lefty who's throwing 100, that's when we got a guy who's going number one. I'm telling you that right now. These guys sound great. But if you have a lefty with these kind of abilities, now we're seeing the Randy Johnson.
Yeah. All right, so next on our list is our first high school player on the list.
All right. So we got a high schooler, huh?
Yep. So at number 20, we have Pete Crow Armstrong, outfielder from California, Harvard Westlake.
Wow, they must think a lot about Pete if he's coming out of high school in the first round, and he's not a pitcher, so he must be pretty solid.
So he was named to the 2019 World Baseball Showcase Under 18, Cup, ranked fourth on the team with the average of hitting at .364, finished with third in hits, 12, second in runs with 9, 4 doubles, and first in stolen bases. Led Team USA in triples with 3, including 2 against Canada in September.
Wow, so those are really impressive stats. So he basically led the stat lines for everyone, and he was the best center fielder in the game, and he can steal. You know who that sounds like? That sounds like Mr. Mike Trout.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, so the high school he went to, this Harvard Westlake, has produced some very known players that we have known recently.
Okay, who do we got?
Cardinals Jack Flaherty.
Whoa.
Braves Max Fred, and then White Sox Lucas Giolito.
Giolito. Wow.
Were all drafted in first round straight out of that high school.
Hold on now. I see something in here that caught my eye.
Oh, did you see about who his mom is?
I see. And I see the movie that they were in.
Yes.
All right, let's get into this.
That's what I was going to say next.
This is why Pete is on the first round. This makes him even cooler.
Both his parents are actors, but his mom has a very classic role under her baseball belt that we might know and love. She played Billy Hayworth's mom, Ginny, in Little Big League. Naturally, that's Crow Anderson's favorite movie his mom has been in.
Of course it is. The Little Big League? Yes. Hey, Pete, welcome to the Twins. Let's go ahead and mark that now. Pete is going to the Minnesota Twins. That is a team from that, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I saw that stat. Like, they're both actors, and Dad was in other smaller roles and stuff. But it's just funny. And when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, baseball's in his blood.
Hey, Pete, if you're watching, how about sending us an autographed picture of you and the family? All right. That's pretty cool. All right. So let's move on. Number 19, we have Tyler Soderstrom, another catcher. So what
high school.
Out of high school. Wow. Okay. Guess who else was a high school catcher? Bryce Harper. But we saw he had to transition very quickly because they wanted him.
He was catcher, pitcher, outfielder.
Well, when we saw him on ESPN magazine, they were talking about him being a catcher.
Yeah.
And he was just raking in the big league parks, which I still don't know how he got in there. But anyways,
so
Tyler.
Tyler is the son of Steve
Soderstrom,
who was drafted 6th overall by the Giants back in 1993 out of Fresno State and pitched only one season in the big leagues. Tyler goes to the same high school as Dad, who was drafted by the Mets in the 15th round in 1990 before he went to play college.
Okay.
He played for the Team USA Under 18 team in the summer of 19, started all 9 games. He hit .364, including a 2-run double over the Chinese Taipei and a RBI double to win over Spain in September. He was named California's Gatorade Player of the Year 1920. He's only got to play 5 games his senior season. 4, of course, got canceled. But as a junior, he hit .450 with 4 home runs in 28 games.
Yeah, so basically what I'm seeing is this dude is a stud. I mean, when you play for the 18U team anyways for Team USA, you're going to be one of the best in the game, period.
Yeah.
So, yes, all eyes are on you. All the games, you got scouts there watching you. And it seems like you were one of the best hitting catchers in the States, basically.
Yeah.
But my question is, since he hits so well, is he going to get converted?
Because it depends on who he goes to.
What they need. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I would like to see another Mike Piazza. I like to see a guy who can rake and catch.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that. I don't want to see just a defensive catcher, just an offensive catcher. I want to see somebody out there who's going to do it all. But that's pretty good. Oh, here we go. Number 18 on the list. We have a left-handed pitcher.
Finally, our first left-handed pitcher in the game at number 18, we have Garrett
Crochet
out of Tennessee.
All right, Garrett. Let's see how good they think you are. My man had a 4 ERA, 5 wins, 3 losses, and 18 appearances. He had 6 games started. All right. What else we got about? They got 81 strikeouts. Okay, batting average against is 268. Not bad.
But look at his heat.
Oh my God. My man is throwing a hundo.
So he brings the heat. The big lefty has worked at a 96 to 100 miles an hour with his fastball last fall. And that he also has a high spin rate that has a recipe for swing and misses. In his last regular season start of 2019, his sophomore year in Tennessee, he was hit in the face by a line drive and suffered a broken jaw that required a plate to be installed.
Ouch.
Not only did he return 2 weeks later in the NCAA tournament, he pitched the Tennessee to their first tournament win since 2005 with 2 1/3 scoreless innings and 4 strikeouts.
Oh my gosh! So you're telling me this guy's got grit? He took a line drive off the face and still came back and helped them win.
He is tied for the tallest player in this year's top 100 prospects draft. Besides, the same height as some of the high schoolers and university other pitchers at 6'6".
Wow. Hey, Mr. Garrett, welcome to the Mets.
Oh, man. All right, next on our list at number 17 is Patrick Bailey, catcher.
Surprise, surprise. Another catcher
North
out of
Carolina
NC
State.
All right, I like that.
So his average is 288. Let's see, 86 hits, 10 home runs, 46 RBIs. Yeah.
We don't have any defensive stats, I see, but
No.
I got to assume the kid knows his stuff if he's ranked so high.
Yeah, so Patrick Bailey is the top-ranked catcher in this year's draft, a switch hitter since the age of 11. He homered from both sides of the plates in the same game twice in his career at NC State. First against Wayne Mary as a freshman, then against Iowa in February. No other player in the program history has ever done that once. His teammates call him Patty Barrels. Speaking of barrels, Grand Slams are Bailey's thing. Bailey crushed 3 Grand Slams in an 11-day span this past season. The first against Tennessee, second against Iowa, and then third against Coastal Carolina right before the season got called.
So he's the guy you want in the big situation. If you have to have a hit, you want him there. That sounds great. I like it. That's pretty impressive, man. How many Grand Slams?
3 in 11 days.
Wow. Oh man, that's really good. All right, so let's move on. We have an outfielder out of Independence, Tennessee.
High schooler.
All right, Robert Hassel.
So at Independence High School in Tennessee, he hit .423 with 14 home runs, 8 doubles, and 22 steals. And threw 59 innings with a 1.07 ERA to go with 113 strikeouts as a junior. They, of course, earned Gatorade Player of the Year last year.
Okay. Well, what?
He's considered the best pure hitter in this year's high school draft class. With eye coordination, beautiful swing from left side of the plate that produces hits on all parts of the field. Scouting opinions are split as whether he'd tap his power at professional level, but his 17 demonstration raw power over his prep career, he's likely to be the first prep player drafted at a state of Tennessee in the first round since Mike White in 1986.
Mike, if you're watching, why didn't you tell us? Anyways, this sounds like it could go either way. Is he going to get drafted as an outfielder or a pitcher? Sounds like he's going to be drafted as a position player.
Yes.
But you cannot dismiss the fact that he threw a 1.07 ERA with 113 strikeouts. And you know they're not playing bum schools. They're playing schools that are just as talented as they are.
Yes.
And he's getting it done, which means he is that good against his peers.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I like to see the kid hit, but I don't know, man. It's pretty hard to keep the pitcher out of it when you're that good.
I would definitely be interested to try to do both, see what kind of his arm, maybe be a reliever.
I would have to test it out.
Yeah, because God, a 1-point ERA.
Well, good thing is that he's a high schooler, so he'll most likely spend some time in the minors if he gets drafted and takes the offer. And if he does do that, they will develop him, and they'll see where his strengths really are.
Yeah. So next we have yet another high schooler, but this time it's a shortstop.
All right. He must be great.
Ed Howard out of Mount Carmel in Illinois.
Okay.
Imagine then the motions of a 7th grader, Ed Howard, February 2015. He began the school year as a hero's welcome at his junior high school after he and his Jackie Robinson West teammates won the U.S. Championship in the Little League World Series. The team visited President Obama. Now the time is right for Ed to speak in front of his class about his thrilling summer. 5 years later, Howard is a star shortstop at high school of Southside Chicago. He's now the nation's top-ranked high school infielder for this year's coming draft.
Okay, so let's break this down. This guy is one of the few that are going to be drafted this high and played in the Little League World Series. He won the U.S. Championship, which I'm assuming means he didn't win the whole thing.
No, they lost in the World Championships against.
But it's very rare. I mean, we've seen
I
a couple
remember
players.
This was the all-black team right outside of Chicago.
Okay,
everyone made a big deal, because there was majority black players. Usually, you don't see that in college, in the Little League World Series, and they went for it that year, and they almost won.
Who'd they lose to? Japan?
I feel like it probably was.
Either Japan and Mexico. I feel like they've been pretty solid the last couple years.
Yeah.
But the thing is that that's pretty impressive. That means the kid's a baller. I like it.
Yes.
And he's getting drafted out of high school.
Yes.
He's got skill.
Shortstop, top rank, potential is there. I'm pretty sure Obama's going to be watching him, especially if he goes back to Chicago.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, at number 14, guess what? We have another right-handed pitcher.
But at a high school.
Out of high school. Now we're talking. So the last kid we saw coming out of high school is going to be an outfielder, and he had a 1.07 ERA and 113 strikeouts. Let me see how this guy
But this is something interesting.
Up.
We have a Harper situation here.
Uh-oh. Hold on. First of all, let's get you guys a kid's name. His name is Nick Bisco.
He graduated a year early so he can go in the draft this year.
Okay, so he must be
17.
very good. As a pitcher, that's crazy.
He announced in January that he'll be graduating this year a year early to make him eligible for this year's draft. At 6'4", 225, he has a fastball that sits around 92, 96 miles an hour, a good curveball, and a developing changeup. He's among a trio of top high school right-handers who are expected to go early in the first round. Will be a pitcher at the professional level, but was told that he wants to try to keep hitting until someone says, put the bat down. On his Instagram page, he has some short videos of him hitting as a part where he hit 450 and 5 home runs at Central Bucks East last year.
Oh, so it sounds like we need to have him go against Mr. Robert Hassel and see who's the best at both positions. I like it. The kid throws 96 miles an hour. He's 6'4". He's going to be a big guy. Guess what? When he gets a little older, he's going to be throwing 100 plus.
And think about it, he's going to be 17 drafted.
That's
just
what I'm
like
saying.
Harper. So you've got another whole year to develop. And you're talking about your prime is now going to probably be a year earlier, like Trout and Harper, where it's like, okay, their contracts are going to be long term because their prime is going to be for that full contract.
And he's only 17, which means his 6'4" could be 6'6". We don't know. He could still grow. But one thing I do know is if he's touching 96 miles an hour now, he's definitely going to be touching 100 plus.
Oh, definitely.
So that is something to look out for.
Yeah.
Unless something crazy happens, that's something to look out for. But he does have a backup plan. The boy hit 450 and had 5 home runs. So if his arm gives out, he can play first base and hit. Huh.
Possibility. All right, yet another high schooler. This time we have another outfielder out of West
Allegheny,
Pennsylvania, Austin Hendricks.
So first, before we get into it, what I'm seeing a trend here. If you're a position player, unless you're a catcher, you're most likely a high schooler.
A good chance, a young talent.
But yeah, that's what we're got. All these guys are high schoolers if they're not pitching.
Well, we'll go more in the top 10.
All right.
There's more. But Hendrick is 18, won last year's Under Armour All-American Home Run Derby at Wrigley Field ahead of the All-American Game, one of the premier events in the annual baseball showcase circuit.
Okay.
Given a tremendous speed, which he has his bat travels through the zone, makes this sense that you hear who Hendrick's favorite baseball player is.
Who are they?
Both past and active. According to Baseball America, Hendrick's favorite player of all time is Ken Griffey Jr.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hall of Fame center field who has the smoothest and quickest swing in baseball history. His favorite current player is Bryce Harper, who bat speed makes for one of the most violent, beautiful swings in baseball today.
You had me at Griffey. You lost me at Harper.
He's considered the best hitter in this year's high school draft class, and he is committed to Mississippi State during last year's MLB High School All-Star Game at Progressive Field. Harold Reynolds ran out to the right field to interview him while the game was in progress during the high school all-star game in Cleveland. Hendrick also was in the home run derby as well.
So I get it. I get it. Look, he liked Ken Griffey because Ken Griffey has the smoothest swing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I understand why he likes Bryce Harper because Bryce Harper has the attitude. He definitely clings well with the younger crowd.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, he's got the swagger. He's got the attitude. I get it. All about these clown questions, bro.
All right. So, yep, here we go. Another high schooler.
All right. Who we got?
A right-handed pitcher
At our Refugio.
Texas, Jared Kelly.
All right, Mr. Jared Kelly, what do you have to offer?
A 6'3", 215-pound right-hander opened the 2020 season as the top high school pitcher in the country, only to be able to get 12 innings in before the season, of course, got shut down. But those 12 innings, he was 34 of 36 outs that got called out on strikeouts.
Whoa.
And he didn't held a hit. He was named the 2020 High School Player of the Year for Texas. His junior year in 2019, he posted a .22 ERA with 114 strikeouts over 65 innings.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty dominant.
And they got to go to the state championship and win the title. I'm sure it is because of his domination.
His domination showcase circuit, striking out 5 over 2/3 innings in the Under Armour All-American game at Wrigley. He struck out 4 over 2 innings in the perfect game at All-American Classic. He's pitched well in area code games that some scouts call him the best pitching performance they have ever seen in history.
This is great. So what I'm seeing with all these stats we've been reading tonight is that we have really good hitters, very solid guys batting 450 plus, and then we have these pitchers who are throwing ERAs of 1 and under.
Yeah.
So when you get to the next level or the big leagues, something's gonna have to give. Are we gonna see these dominant pitchers stay dominant, or are we gonna see these hitters hit these guys? How is this gonna average out? Do you think these guys are still gonna come in there bringing 300, batting 300, or I don't know. It's something to think about because you have domination on both ends.
Biggest thing is more so when you see like these circuit, these all-star games is when you more see the tier pitchers versus the tier hitters.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these hitters don't see top tier.
That's right.
In high school, you might get them once in a blue moon.
Oh, yeah.
In the state championships and stuff like that.
But I have a feeling that the guys that we're seeing on this paper from high school that can hit are not seeing slum pitchers. They're seeing the best and the best. They travel. They probably have a bus and a plane taking them to these games.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah. I think this is one of our last high schoolers for a while. We went on a real streak of high school players. So we have another right-handed pitcher
mad at it.
Out of Jesuit, Oregon.
All right, Mr. Mick Abel.
Abel has been throwing some bullpen sessions during this pandemic. In Oregon.
Naturally.
But he's been caught by last year's first overall pick by the Orioles, former Oregon State catcher
Rutschman.
Rutschman told Baseball America that he couldn't believe the pitches that he caught from this high school player. You rarely see an arm that good, adding his electric and smooth. Back on the mound his junior year, he was dominant, improving his command and developed secondary pitches. Mostly his slider led to a 1.26 ERA with 111 strikeouts over 72 innings.
Okay, so my question is, when are the Orioles drafting?
Second.
Do they need, well, we know they need everything. If they got the Orioles catcher catching this guy, he's already got chemistry. It's a good chance you can sign the kid if you need him. I know he's ranked, 11th? Mm-hmm. But he's coming out of high school. What do you think?
I don't think Orioles going to go up that high for him. Maybe you think jump back in the draft, trade for him, or if he falls.
Which it could happen. And we don't know. Anything can happen in that Major League Draft.
And of course, he was named the Gatorade Player of the Year in Oregon both last year and this year.
Okay.
So
definitely
a lot of potential. Now we're about to crack into the top 10.
Top 10.
Picks. So the first one is Henderson. Oh, my God.
Heston Kjerstad.
Outfielder out of Arkansas.
Okay.
So in 60 games, he batted .331, and his 245 at-bats, 81 hits, 11 doubles, 15 home runs, 46 RBIs. In his 145 games, he put up video game numbers. He hit .332 as a freshman, .331 as a sophomore, and was hitting .448 until the season got ended 16 games this past season. They call him the best left-handed hitter in the country with a pronounced big leg kick.
Okay.
Also got better in the season. His on-base percentage was .513 and slugging was .791. It would have been fun to watch what he did this whole season. I think he was going to hit 20 to 25 home runs if we had a full season.
Very interesting. Okay, yeah, I like left-handed hitters. It's great to see one in the top 10. All right, well, let's move on. Number 9 looks like another right-handed pitcher out of Minnesota.
Yep.
Max Meier.
Yep, Max Meier. We have a 2.11 ERA, 16 appearances, 11 starts, 2 saves, 58 hits, 18 ERAs, 20 walks, and 87 strikeouts. His combination of a fastball in the triple digits, a slider that reaches 91, and a reliably light amateur workload is rare among elite draft prospects. In high school, Max didn't pick up a baseball during hockey season because he was a reliever and a two-way player for periods of his college career. Myers has thrown fewer than 60 innings per year on average from 17 to present. That includes the 13 innings with last summer's USA College national team, which he led with a .69 ERA. Was an everyday position player for the sophomores, batting .256 and his 120 bats in his 32 starts. So what do you think about him?
I think it sounds pretty crazy. It's a good story. I mean, he didn't even pick up a baseball during hockey season, so that's pretty crazy alone. You said he's a two-way player for periods of his college. That's good. I think it's going to be positive. All these pitchers have potential. It's just, what are they going to do at the next level? That's the biggest question.
Very much so.
And the question these days, all of these guys, when I hear these stats that we're talking about, they remind me of Strasburg so much because you got a guy that's throwing 100 miles an hour out of college or out of high school, and we know that the injury is there. The potential to be injured, your arm injury, is really, really very easily going to happen or could happen. And in today's ball game, these pitchers, they're either going to make it, recover really well, or they're not. So that's the biggest question, the biggest question mark.
Yeah, like years ago, Tommy John was his death sentence. Now it's like, oh, another pitcher, Tommy John. Okay.
Exactly. But you still don't know how they're going to recover from that. They're not 100% the same.
Yeah, definitely.
As we saw with Strasburg, he's still pitching great. But when he first came in the league, he was out there straight throwing the heat all day.
I think that's when people start scaling back. I think, who knows about DeGrom because he had his Tommy John during minor leagues.
Yeah.
Syndergaard's getting his Tommy John now, so we'll see next year how he reacts. Harvey, he bounced back for that year, then downhill spiral after that. So it all depends who the pitcher. So
and the team and the support you have behind it. There's a lot of factors, I'm sure.
Alan, you got another left-hander.
All right. So number 8.
Yep.
We got a guy named Reed Detmers from Louisville. I mean, you got to be a good player coming out of Louisville. They probably even make the bats. But he's a pitcher, so let's talk about it. Last year, he threw ERA, had a 2.78. 13 wins is pretty good with 18 games started. That's a really good percentage there. 113.1 innings pitched. He had 71 hits against him, 35 runs. Earned runs are 35 as well, 33 walks, and 167 strikeouts. It's pretty solid.
There's a reason why to that.
Okay.
So, whose 167 strikeouts as a sophomore set a University of Louisville record. His 13 wins also tied program's record. Helped lead the school, of course, to the College World Series last year. A month later, he was the best starter in Team USA collegiate national team, going 2-0 with a .69 ERA. While his fastball sits mostly in the 90-92 range, his plus curveball, which has been called the best out of college baseball, clocks in between 73 and 77 miles an hour.
Okay.
Making his heater tough to hit. Once on his way to another sub-her season 2020, ranking first in strikeouts with 48 strikeouts this past season before, of course, the cut short because of the pandemic.
Now, I would make this argument. I mean, this guy is pretty high up, top 10, but it's catching me off guard because all the other guys we talked about are throwing 100 plus, and they got plus stuff on the off speed. This guy has a 90 to 92 range fastball, which is average, and then he's throwing a medium average curveball. My thing is, if you're throwing 97 miles an hour and you're expecting his curveball to be slow, well, you're going to know when it's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be able to say, oh, that's not coming that fast, and then you're going to wait for it and be like, okay, pow. So I think you can get a good read on those kind of pitchers. Unless you have some filthy stuff going on behind the scenes where, like, you're not seeing the ball till it's almost out of his arm.
Yeah, we got to wait and see what he develops. Maybe they change something, whoever drafts him, because he is number 8. So, out of Louisville, they're not no slouch. They have a lot of prospects, so maybe there's something.
He's number 8 because he's throwing 90 and he's a lefty.
Yep.
But, all right, we'll get into it. All right, so who do we got next?
We have a high schooler.
All right.
If I remember correctly, I think this is our last high schooler on the list. It is. So this is Zach Veen, outfielder from Spruce Creek,
Florida, of course.
Now, he's a top high school player in the 2020 draft, a 5-tool beast who has scouts drooling over his
projectability
of his 6'4", 190 frame.
Oh, man, he's a big
He has
guy.
comparisons to MVP winners Cody Bellinger, Christian Yelich, while others' names such as Charlie Blackmon and Kyle Tucker has also been mentioned as his comps for an 18-year-old.
Wow, those are
Some
pretty good
teenagers
players.
might shy away from his comparisons. Veen isn't most teenager. I definitely embrace it. I believe I can be one of those players. I know I put in the work to be one of those players. Not only do I want to make it in the big leagues, I want to be an MVP. I want to be one of the best players ever.
Now, that's the attitude that I want from my draft pick. If you're a high school and you got that kind of confidence, that confidence does not come out of anywhere. That means this guy actually puts in the work. He puts in so much work that he is that confident in himself.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you gain it.
Exactly. Being 6'4" at 18, he could grow a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah.
At 190, he probably needs to put a little bit more weight, being young.
He'll get more weight on him for sure.
Especially playing outfield. But if you're a 5-tool beast that these scouts are drooling over.
And that's what I'm saying, man. It sounds to me like this guy's got the Mamba mentality, and I'm with it. I like that mentality.
It won't be surprised if he be like a shock top 5 pick.
Yeah.
If someone's like, you know
Absolutely.
what? Let's do it.
Yes. Because you're looking at a potential another star in the game.
Yeah.
And if he's going to be this good, he can draw the crowds.
Yeah, it won't be surprised if, like, for example, Toronto Blue Jays or Royals pull the trigger
There
at
you go.
4 and 5.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
So,
no, that's
yeah.
that's positive. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, Zach Veen, we're going to keep an eye on you, bud.
All right, so all rest of here is all college players. So first up is our outfielder out of UCLA, Garrett Mitchell.
All right, Garrett.
So with his batting average last year, he had a 349,
Solid.
62 games, 62 starts, 90 hits, 14 doubles, 12 triples, 6 home runs, and 41 RBIs.
Yeah, no, that's pretty impressive. Think about it. He got 90 hits in 62 games. He's averaging more than a hit a game. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
He was selected in the 12th round back in 2017 by the A's, but of course he decided to go to UCLA, and you know.
And that's why he's going to be in the first round this year, because he already was selected in the 12th round in 2017, which means they had pretty good faith in him, and he bet on himself like most of these guys did.
The work's about to pay off.
Exactly.
As a star outfielder of UCLA, he's projected to come off the board real early in the draft, perhaps in the top 10. Before the COVID-19 pandemic shut down, he was putting together another elite season. The 6'3", 204-pound outfielder was slashing .355 with 62 at-bats. Numbers consistent with his first 2 years. He slashed a .349 over 62 games, all starts, earning his all-conference team honors.
All right.
So now we're cracking into the top 5.
Top 5. All right. Well, the first one we have is Nick Gonzalez, a shortstop and second baseman out of New Mexico State. Let's see, in 2019, he batted .432, and he played 55 games, had 220 at-bats, 80 runs, 95 hits. He had 19 doubles, 4 triples, 16 home runs, and 80 RBIs. That is a stat line.
He just turned 21.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
So top 10, which begins, of course, this coming up Wednesday. The draft, of course, will be short this year compared to the normal 40 rounds. But Gonzalez are unlikely to be affected by the guidelines. No one expects Gonzalez to still be hanging around after the first round. His numbers are just that good.
Yeah.
He slashed a .347 as a freshman, followed by a .432 in his sophomore year. He earned an NCAA batting title, but there's skepticism along the way. Some thought his high altitude in New Mexico was a reason for his inflated numbers.
Even if you take that in consideration, just think about what else he's done. I mean, as a second baseman and a shortstop, to have these kind of numbers, even if they dwindle just a little bit, I still think you got a pretty solid player in my eyes. Especially since, like you said, the draft is only about 5 rounds. These guys are definitely going to be taken off the board.
Yeah, definitely. Very much so. All right, so at number 4, we have a right-handed pitcher out of University of Georgia, Emerson Hancock.
All right.
So
Emerson.
Oh, wow.
I was like, hold on, that sounds right too. Yeah, Emerson.
Okay, sorry. In 14 games he started, he appeared. 1 complete game. 8 wins, 3 losses, a 1.99 ERA.
Yes, that's great. At a 90 innings pitch, that's pretty impressive.
What else? Oh, here's the rest. I was like, we're missing 97 strikeouts and had a batting average against him as a 185.
Yes, that's pretty solid.
So, often teams must choose the draft polished college pitchers with lesser stuff or big arms. With Hancock, you get both. Not only mentioned he's a Friday night experience, impressive mound, if there's a question on Hancock is his relative lack of strikeouts. He tallied only 97 and 90 innings his last full season, but that was starting to change this year before the season got cut. He had 34 strikeouts and only 24 innings before the season.
Yeah.
Also, when he got canceled.
Yeah, so it sounds like he was trending in the right direction. And obviously, that's not a big issue for me. Everything else is the ERA and everything else is much more important to me, in my opinion. The strikeouts will come. They'll come.
Oh, definitely. Especially when you get into the big leagues, when people just try to hit bombs, they're going to swing more compared to college, where they're more of your
got to get on a base.
Yeah,
get on base kind of.
Yeah, so I like it. He's the top right-handed pitcher in the draft out of college. Everything because we have one more pitcher above him, which is a left-hander, then 2 position players.
All right.
So let's get to number 3, Alan, a left-hander at number 3.
All right. So we got a guy named Asa Lacy. A left-handed pitcher out of Texas A&M. 2019, he had a 1.69 ERA with 6 wins. He started 9 games. He had 53.1 innings pitched, 30 hits, 11 runs. Earned runs were 10. And batting average against him was 163. That's pretty impressive if you ask me.
His biggest comparison is Yankees closer Chapman.
Okay.
It's a good place to start with what they pretty much see him as.
So now and Lacy says he thinks they're pretty similar. I haven't studied it closely on Baseball Savant, but that's what I've seen. So if he thinks they're pretty similar, does that mean he wants to be a closer, or has he got the stuff to stay in a starter's position?
I think he's because you've seen next, or Clayton Kershaw.
Oh,
his parents allowed him to stay up late to watch Clayton, where he studied the Dodgers left fielder from about every angle. In 24 innings, he did nothing to hurt his draft standing. His line is 8 walks, 46 strikeouts, and a .7 ERA. Of course, before, unfortunately, season
COVID,
ended.
yeah. Okay, so what I'm getting out of this is that we have a left-handed pitcher who could be a Clayton Kershaw type player. Yes, I am very interested in seeing this guy play. I don't see how fast he throws, but I'm sure he's getting the job done, so it must be on par with everybody else.
That's why most likely this is who Miami's picking.
Okay.
Because they do believe these next 2 is going to go 1 and 2, vice versa. Whoever Detroit picks first, then Orioles going to pick next.
Okay.
So most likely this is that third prospect that's going to land right in Miami's lap.
And they could use some good prospects. Absolutely.
Front of line starter that's be perfect for them in a couple of years.
All right. So the next person that we're talking about, I was just about to say, Alan, we have 30 players here, and I have not seen one guy come out of Vandy yet.
Well, we have the guy coming out of Vandy.
So we have Austin Martin, an outfielder and third baseman, come out of Vanderbilt at number 2.
The school that has put out baseball.
Recently, absolutely.
In College World Series, multiple times.
Ever since Dansby Swanson, that was the team to look out for.
So his batting average is just shy of 4 at 392.
Okay.
105 hits, 10 home runs, 46 RBIs, 19 doubles, 4 triples. And only 40 walks.
Wow, so 40 walks. I mean, that tells me this guy is disciplined at the plate, which is what I like to see. Not only is he selective at the pitches he swings at, he also gets it done when he does swing. This is great.
Of course, he's a looser comparison to Jordan. Is the high praise from his coach, who, of course, the program has produced people like David Price, Walker Buehler, Sonny Gray, Swatson, and many other big.
Absolutely.
Vandy is a lot about winning in 2019. As a sophomore, he batted leadoff, shifting to second base to third base, led SEC in average at 392, on base at 486, runs 87, and rolled to the College World Series title that year.
Yeah, man. It just sounds like a guy that I want on my team. Absolutely.
And a lot of people think that's who Orioles is going to end up with.
And they could use it, to be honest. They need a stud. This guy sounds like he's going to fast track the minors and make it to the big leagues. He's going to be one of the guys to watch out for.
Yeah. All right. At number 1, we have the guy that everyone's picking, that Detroit Tigers will select the number 1 pick come Wednesday, is Spencer
Torkelson.
first baseman at Arizona State University.
Yeah, and it makes sense that Detroit's going to want a nice first baseman after they had Miguel Cabrera for so long.
Yeah, this is probably his last year, so it's ultimately going to replace him. So,
yeah, absolutely.
351 average last year and 242 at bats, 85 hits, 17 doubles, 23 home runs with 66 RBIs.
That's pretty good, man, because that is a small sample size when you compare it to games. We've had 57 games and 23 home runs. That's almost a home run a game.
Almost.
That's about half.
His numbers look straight out of a video game. It mashed his way through the Pac-12 difficulty settings, turned all the way down since his arrival. He has hit 337 with 54 home runs and 130 RBIs in his 129 games.
Yeah.
Has established him as the best hitter in this year's draft class.
And I love the hitters. I would take this guy first if that's his stat line. I'm all about the hitters, man.
The program that he's been in has been home to Barry Bonds, Reggie Jackson, and 109 other players who have reached the major leagues. And he's also crushed Barry Bonds' freshman home run record.
Wow.
Barry Bonds hit 11 homers in 1983 as a freshman, which stood for 35 years before our boy Spencer here shattered the mark with 25 blasts in 2018.
Wow, he did destroy that. Man, that is nuts to think about.
And, of course, we said Astros forfeited their first pick. But
all right, well, out of the guys we've talked about, who would you like to pick if you had to choose one of these guys that we just talked about?
Man.
If you were on the board and everybody was available, who were you taking?
It's a tough one. Like especially if you look at these top three.
Yeah?
Like, you think about it. Like, do you want a first baseman, a stud infielder, or do you want this possibly ace of the rotation?
Well, I'm going to tell you who I would take. I'm going to take number 18, Garrett Crochet, the left-handed pitcher out of Tennessee who throws 100 miles an hour. That is something rare. You don't see it every day.
And that's
I like
high
it.
schooler, right?
Exactly.
He's that rare. So you're talking about in a couple of years, he could be very young, being a potential frontline starter for a team. It's very hard to deny.
No, I don't think he's a high schooler. I think he's a guy who got hit in the face with the line drive.
Oh, out of Tennessee.
Yes. I would take him, man. Look, I've only seen one Randy Johnson, and if I can see another, yes. That's the guy I like.
You know what I might do? I might go and take the swagger, Mr. Zach Zine out of Florida.
Okay, yes.
That 5', 6'4", possibly can grow further. Think he can be an MVP. He's going to strive for greatness. And you're talking about being 18 years old.
Is this the guy who's coming straight out of high school, or is this the guy who
straight out of high school?
Who's the guy? This is not the guy who went out a year early.
No.
Okay.
The year early was the pitcher, I think, at number on my list. I think.
Well, that's fine. So yeah, Zach Veen, man, that sounds like a pretty solid pick to me. Like you said, he's got the potential to be a greatness.
Tool, he has the swag. He was going to work hard. So, but literally, it'd be hard for me not to get that the pitcher from at number 3.
Right. Well, I agree.
Our boy Asa Lacey.
Yeah, man. If I had to pick another person besides the pitcher, it would either have to be the number one guy who's obviously
Bombs
a beast,
potentials.
or possibly the guy from Vandy. I like that too.
Yeah.
But needless to say, out of all the guys we just talked about, I see potential all-stars, potential Hall of Famers. I see some guys that it might be exciting to watch.
And this is going to be a very interesting because, like you said, there wasn't a full season to judge these players on. So they're taking a semi-guess on some of these, especially the high schoolers, because they couldn't see how much they grew from junior to senior year.
Yeah.
So it's like...
But from what they did see, most of these guys did grow, and they were still on track of doing what they were doing. So if you liked him the last season, you definitely going to have to like him now.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, with the shrinking of minor league baseball is
they're
going to grow a lot faster and face a lot better... possibly, younger.
But, younger talented guys. But even with that being said, if they're shrinking minor league baseball, then we're also going to see a different selection when it comes to drafting. They got to be more selective when they pick these guys. They got to make sure that these are the right guys to fill the slots. So that means they got to scout harder. They got to do everything a lot better.
I feel like if you don't get drafted in the first round of high school, you're going to go to college.
Yeah.
because you're going to be more developed and have more time in college compared to working with a quick system in the minor leagues.
We don't know. The way the other major league, like NBA, NHL, or whatever, the other leagues, we're seeing a trend these days where they're skipping college altogether. They're going straight to the G League. They're getting deals. They're getting $300,000 signing bonus just to play there. Instead of developing in college, they're going to develop somewhere else. Or they could play overseas. You never know, man. It's not a guaranteed thing anymore.
Yeah, it's a weird time. Like, there's opportunities, especially probably some of these high schoolers are watching the KBO.
Exactly.
Now,
and exactly. That could be enticing. Say, hey, I can go over there and play and compete with these guys and get paid and then get noticed by the MLB.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm saying is traditional way of getting in is kind of dying. So there's a lot more doors open to walk through.
And like we said, if they're going to shrink minor leagues, there's not going to be no rookie league, golf league, short season. There's going to be double A, and triple A.
Like we remember it.
It's like, okay, so either you're going to develop quick or you're going to lose a job quick if they're going to shrink it to that much.
Right. But also with that being said, that does open the opportunity for other leagues to get better quality baseball players there. Because like I said, we've seen guys in the minor leagues that are talented enough to make it to the major league system, but they did not have a spot for them. Like Christian Walker, for example. Guys like that who are wasting talent in the minors could leave to go to a different league and show it off there, and then, you know, who knows?
We watched, like I said, Christian Walker. Our biggest one last year is our Mike Yaz finally getting an opportunity with Giants and was one of the best players on the Giants in the second half of the year.
But the biggest thing is that a lot of these minor leaguers, since there's so many of them, they don't get these opportunities. So if we start sending our minor leaguers or we cut them and they start going to play for other leagues, those leagues could eventually get on the same level as the MLB or surpass because we're not giving them opportunities.
Especially if like KBO and other leagues get TV deals here in America.
Yes.
And especially like we said, when fans get there and you see how excited and fans love the KBO and even Japan, it's going to be different than watching a baseball game.
Well, nowadays, you know, the trend is like Netflix and Disney Plus has its own channels. You know, I want some money if this happens, but I'm thinking, what if there's like a program for baseball and they're showing all the leagues? Like, what if you go watch MLB, you go watch Japan, you go watch China, you go watch KBO, like a TV guide? That would be amazing, and that would open up the door for everything.
Yeah, and especially no blackouts.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if you had a one-stop shop baseball channel for any baseball period, now we're talking.
Yeah. Like, it was cool for, you know, baseball to introduce the MLB package for just one team, but then it sucks that when your team plays in DC that you still can't listen to them or watch them.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't have anything against the Nationals, but I cannot stand the Nationals announcers. I can't listen to them.
It's depressing that you have to either listen to the announcers of your opponent's team, or you just pause the sound and put
some music on.
You put the radio from the game on.
And that's still off, though.
A little off.
Yeah, exactly.
You hear, oh, and then you watch TV like, oh, let me see what happens.
Yep.
But baseball's got to figure something out quick. It's with this season in the future, they have to figure something out to get the younger fans back in it. Like we said, they need to get the season going, and hopefully come next week we can, depending on when we do the episode, we'll see who got selected, how that went.
And and if you guys are still watching, please hit like and subscribe. But also in the comments, let us know, what would you do to make baseball more interesting for younger fans?
Yeah. So that's it for this week, guys. We will see y'all next time. See ya. All right, everyone. Thank you for checking out this episode. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. Don't hog the goodness here from AA Sports with your friends. And if you want to take that step further, please click on that Patreon link that's in that YouTube, description down there. We do monthly giveaways, gifts from us if you do different tiers, and you will get most likely everything we do here at AA Sports a day early, if not more. So please share that with your friends also. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. That's right. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. That's right. For the record, lab on me going all the way. All the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. Stop. For the record, 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 for the record. Been a little too nice to y'all. Now I gotta up price for y'all. Snake eyes on dice for y'all. Shoulders on ice for y'all. A6